My name's Todd Whitney. I'm an extension educator based in Orbeez, Nebraska, and I'm a crops educator also helping with manure management. I'm going to be talking about organic matter and how we can do some simple illustrations to help younger children, also into adults, on thinking about how organic matter interacts with the soil and how we can maybe show the benefits of that. To start off with, I have what we call little water beads. They've also been called Orbeez, and they are very absorptive and they're able to soak up a lot of moisture. These are the tiny Orbeez. I bought a container of 50,000 for about $9. These are the same Orbeez that have been soaking up in water. It only takes about 4 hours for them to go from this size to this size. Kids love them. They have texture similar to like fish eggs. They're kind of squishy, but they're also very bouncy. And sometimes people use them for purposes like having fun with them, because you can get different sizes of them. They can also be used in growing plants because they absorb water and then they slowly release it. So sometimes people are using them in gardens. But in this case, we're going to talk about how the organic matter is similar to these Orbeez, that they take up the water and they hold on to it. Another way to illustrate is to use a sponge. In our area, we have a lot of irrigation that is done, and sometimes we try to help people understand, how do we know when to irrigate? Well, when we have organic matter in the soil, it's like a sponge that holds on to water. But sometimes, like we just showed in the desktop simulator, if you have too much moisture and you can't store all that water, then it just drains off. And it's like the water that's coming off of the sponge that's just coming off of the field, and we call that field capacity. Now, when we move into the next stage of this, then we can have that part, what is the plant able to use? And organic matter holds on to the water. It lets that plant be able to use that water. And then if we try to squeeze the water out, that's kind of that available water that the plant's able to use. And it can put a lot of pressure in, but it simply cannot put enough pressure to get all the water out of the sponge, because it's still going to have a little bit of moistness to it. If we've tried to keep on going, the plant simply can't get all the water out of the system, and so that's when we get to what we call the wilting point. In Nebraska, we have a lot of silt loam soils. The official silt loam, Orbeez silt loam soils are official soil. It holds 2.1 inches of water per foot in the soil, but only half of that is available for the plant for growing. So that's a principle that we try to share. Another principle that we share, and that is when it comes to cover crops. And this is a simple tool that you can use to illustrate the point about how these cover crops can help hold moisture. And one of the things that it does is it lowers the temperature. This is a laser grip. I got this off the internet for $10. It's a very helpful tool. What it does, it allows you to be able to press the trigger, and it has a laser that comes out, and it will give that temperature, and it will give you a readout in a digital form. When you're in the summer and you look at the difference between a bare soil and where you have protection and that shade, you can have as much as a 15-degree temperature difference between where it's bare soil, where it's shaken and baking, to where we have that cover that's going to help hold the moisture and cool the temperature. Since we have live organisms, we want to keep that temperature fairly even, and so again, you can quickly illustrate the benefits to a cover crop with just a simple tool. So these are three great tools that can be helpful for illustrating points where you can use something tangible they can hold on to, something they can take home with them, and remember the principles that you shared.